Now you can speak.
I get you YouTube.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's great to be here back in my where I roosted as a politician, the Tri-Valley Dems, Dublin, California. I just want to talk a little bit about the election or the primary election, but I want to say first of all, when I was a member of Congress, when they were redistricting, we had a meeting with the California Democrats in Washington to talk about how to strategize to get the districts done right. And Barbara Lee, who I love as a dear friend, her statement was, you know, we need to be careful about redistricting. They tried to give me Dublin. I said, Barbara, that's my best town. That's my best town. That's the only town I took in 2004. But of course, since then, the Tri-Valleys have trended quite a bit better. But at any rate, that was a funny little incident there. But we had a primary election about a month ago. It was good. The turnout was a little better than I actually expected. But it turns out in the end that I got about 33% of the vote. My Democratic opponent got 22% of the vote, and the Republican got 46% of the vote. So that tells you that the Democrats are in good shape, but we have to work. We can't take this for granted. If he gets 46% of the vote in the primary, then he's going to be hyped up. The Republican sponsors of that candidate are going to be hyped up, and so they're going to put out a fight. So we need to make sure we do the things. I've started to do the things that you have to do as a candidate. Raise money necessarily, which is one of the things you have to do. I don't like it, but you know you got to do it, and I can tell you stories about that as well. But there's really good news in the primary. I got the most votes of any of the three candidates in the primary in Alameda County. So we know that this is a place where we're going to have a stronghold, and we want to go ahead and work on that. I had a lot of help out here. Kyoko was a big help in Livermore and in the Tri-Valley. Thank you for that hard work. Little round of applause. Madhu was out walking precincts with me and organizing at our little victory party last week. She brought in, I think, about 5 high school kids that were just really excited about the election, that wanted to be a part of it, wanted to learn, wanted to grow as a part of our democratic process. So things are happening. Thank you, Madhu, for doing that. And we want to continue to reach out to young people in not just in Pleasanton, but in Livermore and Dublin. Tracy, also part of the district. This is a really strong district if we get it organized. So I'm very happy to see that we're getting there. And the thing that really gets me excited about this Senate seat, people say, well, geez, why would you leave Congress to come here? Well, the Congress has more prestige, but here's where you actually get stuff done. And California, as you know, is leading the country in a lot of things. In air quality, California led the country and has continued to lead the country. In privacy, California leads the country. In artificial intelligence, which I'm an expert at now, California leads and is going to continue to lead the country, especially if I get to Sacramento. And also, we have some water policy issues to work out. There's a little bit of difference of opinion on how to do the state water policy between the Tri-Valley here and the majority of my district in San Joaquin County. But that's stuff that can be worked out. I mean, there's a rational, logical way to make sure that we have plenty of water, and we can do that. Valley Link, helping to relieve some of the congestion on 580, a very big, a very important issue. I get stuck in that traffic going back and forth across my district. I have for 16 years. So it's going to be a really important thing, not only because it's important to the community, but because it's important to me personally. So I'm going to be working really hard on that. And energy policy, I know we're going to hear on energy tonight on some of our good friends at PG&E. I'm saying that with my fingers crossed. I mean, I think PG&E initially had, you know, maybe 30 or 40 years ago had good intentions, but they've slid. I mean, they haven't maintained their equipment. They've spent a lot of money on bonuses and high salaries for their employees. They put a lot of ads on TV, including ads attacking me personally. Another reason that I don't feel too good about that. But nonetheless, it's time to sit down and talk to the Public Utility Commission in a serious way to make them stand up for their responsibilities. And I know we're going to hear about that later tonight. We can't allow them to continue to gouge in, consumers and put themselves on TV as wonderful as a wonderful company. That's just not acceptable. And I'm going to do everything I can to stop that. So, you know, I pay it looks like 64 cents a kilowatt hour on average for my electricity bill. What do they pay in Texas? 7 cents. So yeah, PG&E's had trouble with. I'm sure I don't mean to do your sit thunder. They've had trouble with climate, of course. You know, there's more forest fires, but they let this happen. The SEMPRA, the San Diego Gas and Electric, took the steps they needed to protect their lines from forest fires 20 years ago, and PG&E was giving bonuses out to their employees, so to their top employees. So I don't want to rank too much on PG&E, but they've earned it. Any other issues? And it's a populist issue too. Any other issues anybody wants to raise up? Please raise your hand and we'll talk about it. Yes.
Thank you for the VA going out
Oh.
in the San Joaquin area. My husband worked for the VA system for over 30 years, and I saw that announcement that you're having the ribbon cutting. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. You know, well, my son was in the service, and when I got the call from him in 2004, urging me to run for Congress, and of course, I had no experience in politics, which is why it was so important that I connected with the Tri-Valley Dems to help get me up to speed on this. But serving veterans has been a high priority for me since day one, and getting that facility built took a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of staff resources, but we kept at it. And we had to yell and scream at the VA. We had to yell and scream at the Army Corps of Engineers, and we had to work with local officials all the way from state, county, city governments to make that happen over 16 years. And finally, it's about to open in, I think, the 25th of April. So I'm very proud. That's one of my biggest achievements as a member of Congress. So as Madhu said, we're gonna have a campaign. I'm gonna have to depend on the support and of the Tri-Valley Democrats and all the Democrats in the region. I hope it's there. I hope we can do this. We want to make sure that we have people in the state legislature that know what they're doing and can get things done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Careful of that cord. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just going to spotlight this real quick. Oh. Spotlight myself. Where'd my agenda go?
Sorry,
Absent-headed. Okay, thank you. And for those that are here in person, there is an image on the check-in table, and you can point your phone at that and it'll take you to Jerry's campaign, and you can sign up to donate or volunteer or whatever else. So, and for those of you online, I will send it out to the club. Next, I would like to bring up Ellis Goldberg, who is going to introduce our next speaker. Thank you, Ellis.
First off, I'd like to thank Jerry because I wouldn't be a member of this club if it wasn't for Jerry McNerney. Frankly, my wife was going to work in the campaign office over in San Ramon, no, in Dublin. And she said, "You want to come to the party we're having?" And I met Gary Prouse, Jerry's campaign manager. And he said, "Can you write press releases?" And I said, "I've written a few dozen of those, so I can do that." And I became Jerry's campaign writer in 2004. And thank you, Jerry. This has been a hell of an adventure for me and for this club. And thank you for leading us into that adventure. To get on to the business, excuse me,
Yeah.
it ain't over, for sure. It ain't over. We're at a precipice, particularly today, between what's happening in New York City and what's happening in Israel. We're certainly at a precipice. Get down to business. We got an email from Rebecca Bauer-Cahan a while ago, about a month or two ago, saying that she is co-authoring two bills, 199 and what is it? 2054. And one of those bills has to do with when somebody works for the PUC as a commissioner, currently they have to wait 2 years before going to work for a regulated company. And the bill at that time said, we'll extend that to 10 years. Great. That pretty much locks out any commissioner waiting around 10 years to get his pot of gold. The second one had to do with limiting the rate increases to $10 a year under certain conditions. And last month, I presented the resolution to this club. It's in the minutes, and I won't go into reading it again, but it's basically that we'd support both bills. And I said I'd bring in somebody from an organization who could answer some of our questions about the PUC and regulating PG&E. And I had heard about TURN. I hadn't had direct contact with them. And I looked up turn.org, and I found its executive director, who's sitting back there, Mark Toney, and contacted them and asked him to speak on it, and found out that he indeed had disagreed with Rebecca over the one that was a $10 one, the $10 increase. And I'm not sure about why exactly he disagreed with Rebecca on it. I contacted Rebecca's office and I really couldn't get an answer on that. So maybe he'll somewhat unravel that today. But then Jackie looked online and found that the 10-year window had reduced to a 3-year window. Is that right, Jackie?
So, there was before, I believe, just a limit on before they go into the PUC, but now there's gonna be a limit both before and after. But originally it was gonna be a 10-year cooling off period, and that was as of April 1st, it showed 10-year. When I checked it around a few weeks later, it was changed to 3-year. So,
Okay, so it might be 3-year, but 3 years before you could join the PUC from a regulated company, and 3 years after you leave the PUC
there
to
used be
join
another starting after, now now they're adding after the cooling off period as well, but the original draft of the ledge had it at 10. It's been changed to 3. So the central committee is going to have to retake that up as well, because they were reviewing it under a 10-year cooling.
And what's happened, and it's typical of legislation. I remember several years back, Mark Desaulniers told me that he had worked on 1,700 bills in a 2-year cycle, and it's certainly gone up since then. Judging by the numbers, it's probably around 2,500 bills that have to cross their desk, and they keep on getting tweaked and the numbers change on them and so forth. So before we vote on the resolution, and I'll read the resolution after the presentation, I'm going to ask Mark Toomey, the executive director of TURN, which is toward Utility Reform Network. No, not toward, the Utility Reform Network. It used to have another name with the same initials, but that only caused confusion. Here you go, Mark. Thank you very much, Liz. Thank you very much, Kathy. And if you stand here, you'll be on Zoom.
Alrighty,
Okay. so-
The camera is right up here.
okay. I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight, both in person and in Zoom land. I'm Mark Toney, Executive Director of TURN, the Utility Reform Network. I'm going to start by introducing myself. I am an organizer by trade, a sociologist by discipline, and a troublemaker at heart. TURN believes that we can and should live in a society where power, broadband, and phone services are treated as basic rights for all families. TURN is committed to the cleanest, safest, most reliable energy at the most affordable prices. As I like to say, we want the most green for the least green. We need to prevent the cost of greening the grid from cutting off Black, brown, and any other vulnerable population from the grid because the monthly bill is too doggone high. Back bills owed by residential customers has increased by 500% over the past 4 years. This is an indication that the skyrocketing rates are making people fall behind. People cannot afford to pay their bills. Let me take a minute to talk about PG&E. In 2023, the bills went up by 33%. 1 year, 33%. 2024, we're only barely 4 months in. Another 20% on top of that. If you add those together, the 33 and the 20, it's a 60% increase, because as you know, increases are cumulative. They stack on top of each other. Every increase that you read about in the newspaper or see on the television is just the iceberg. And everyone stacks on top of each other. Right now, PG&E has no less than 12 rate increase proposals sitting on the desk at the California Public Utilities Commission. We have a broken system where there are no limits to how much PG&E can request in rate increases, and no limits to how many times a year, and no limits to what the CPUC can authorize in rate increases. That is why TURN is fighting for a cap, a limit on rate increases to be no greater than the cost of living adjustment provided by Social Security on an annual basis. So if the Social Security increase is 4%, that should be the cap. It shouldn't be 33%, but 4% should be the cap. It should go up in an entire year. Okay, that's the kind of principle that TURN is fighting for. Now, utility shutoff is a huge problem. When people fall behind in their bills and cannot pay, last year, PG&E disconnected electric service for 180,000 families. Okay? Now here's what's interesting. Over 40,000 were never reconnected. Okay? So I have to tell you that utility disconnections, the skyrocketing rates, are a hidden driver of homelessness, because you cannot live in a home. First of all, if you're a renter, that's basis for eviction. when you don't have utility service. That space is for your children being taken away from you by Child Protective Services. Okay? So people end up doubling up with other families, moving out of the state if they can, and some people end up in shelters or on the street. The other issue is that electricity prices are so doggone high that they undermine California reaching climate goals. One thing I know about human nature, people don't like to be punished for doing the right thing. People hate that. And so if we want people to switch to an electric water heater, to an electric heat pump, we should be rewarding them with a lower monthly bill, not punishing them with a higher monthly bill. Okay? It makes no sense. So we need to create incentives. We need to create price signals so that customers are rewarded for doing the right thing. And the only way to do that is to bring down the cost of electricity. Now, I will tell you that Kern has been fighting tooth and nail at the CPUC. And these commissioners have failed miserably when it comes to affordability. The most recent rate increase that they approved in March, they approved on the consent agenda, the consent calendar. That means there was no discussion, there was no debate, no explanation. You know, there's like 36 items on a consent calendar. You all know how consent calendars work, okay? And my statement to the press is that PG&E customers deserve an answer as to why the commissioners thought another rate increase was warranted. And this vote came just a few days after PG&E had announced record-breaking profits for 2023, $2.25 billion. And in their earnings guidance, they said, and we expect the numbers to be better in 2024. Okay, folks? So what Turn did this year is we said, you know what? We are going to the legislature directly. We're going over the heads of the CPUC commissioners, and we're going to the legislature. And so on the back of this, I'm not going through all of these, but I will talk about a couple. There are 6 bills that Turn is sponsoring. This is more than we have ever sponsored, okay? And each one, you can ask questions later. I'll talk about 2 bills because I've been asked to. One is AB 2054. That's the Assembly Member Bauer Kahan. And then I will talk about AB 1999 because I've been asked to speak of those, okay? And then when I'm going to finish up in a few minutes and then be open to questions. So the AB 2054, I had the privilege of being the person who spoke in favor of the bill next to the assembly member in committee hearing. And the bill did it requires a 3-year cooling off period. There used to be a 2-year one, and we had hoped to extend it to 10 years. But the way things work in Sacramento is that when bills go up to committee, they are reviewed by the committee staff. And usually there are amendments that the author is asked to take. If the author would like the bill to pass committee, the answer is yes. So this is not something that Rebecca wanted, but she understood that for the bill to move forward, she had to say yes. I was disappointed too. I thought it should be 10 years too. And let me tell you why. We now have a situation. PG&E had a big general rate case that was decided last year. And in that general rate case, the judge who issued a proposed decision, the judge who's presiding listens to all the evidence, all the parties, and their job is to make an evidence-based finding. And they found exactly what Turn was arguing, that insulating overhead power lines is faster, cheaper, and just as safe as burying them underground. We're talking about the difference of $800,000 a mile versus $4 million a mile. Okay, huge difference. And so for the 2,000 miles that PG&E said they wanted to underground, the judge says you can underground 200 of those miles, but 1,800 of those miles, 90%, you're going to have to insulate, put in insulated overhead. However, the assigned commissioner put out an alternate proposal saying that basically ended up giving PG&E the majority of what they wanted at a much higher cost. Now, here's the thing. This particular commissioner was lobbied by their former boss. Their former boss was a commissioner, and he was an advisor, a staff person in her office. His former boss is executive vice president of PG&E. Okay, now, I'm not making direct accusations. I am saying it's not a good look. It's not a good look. And so that's what this bill is trying to stop. Here's the other thing that's even more important. So utilities have hundreds of accounts called balancing accounts, memorandum accounts. And all that means is when they overspend over what was authorized, they get to record these amounts and come back later and collect them from the ratepayers. So what the bill would do is say, you know what? Why don't we go 50-50 with cost overruns? 50% ratepayers, 50% shareholders. Okay? I guarantee you that when shareholders have to pay part of it, PG&E will exercise more fiscal discipline. Let me give you an example. 2020, 2022, PG&E was authorized to spend $4.7 billion for wildfire safety. But because there were no limits, they spent $14 billion. Okay? Over a $9 billion cost overrun. That's why the bills are so high. PG&E has a credit card with no limit and a guarantee that somebody else is going to pay the balance. Think of that for a moment. What would any of us do? Being issued a credit card with no limit and a guarantee someone else is going to pay the balance, that's not an incentive to be tight with the money. So the good news is that that part of the bill is still there. It still has to go through other processes, got to get out of the Appropriations Committee in the Assembly, has to be passed by the floor, then it starts all over again in the Senate. So the other bill I was asked to speak about is AB 1999. Now, the good news is that the CPUC adopted a proposed decision that rejects the PG&E proposal for income-based fixed charge and basically proposes the SMUD modest level. And what would happen is that electricity rates would decrease by 5 to 7 cents per kilowatt hour. In PG&E, it's about 46 cents on system average right now. And there will be a monthly fixed charge of $24 for most, which is the amount that SMUD has, Sacramento Municipal Utility District. $12 a month for FARA and deed restricted affordable housing. That's a small part of the low-income families. And most low-income families would have a $6 a month fixed charge. Those are folks on the CARE program, the CARE discount. And I will say that the concern that led to AB 1999 being written is subsiding among legislators and supporters. I've spoken directly to Rebecca Bauer-Cahan about this, and she told me that her main concern was that she was afraid that the utility proposal would get adopted because it seems like the CPUC keeps doing the utilities bidding. I will also say that many groups such as CARA, the California Association of Retired Americans, who originally supported the bill, ended up after, when I got the email, I sent an email back saying, happy to talk with you about, why Turn sees things a little different. That's it. No big deal. No, blasting anybody on social media. I don't do that kind of stuff. Okay. I just don't I don't do social media, quite frankly. But I got a call from Tom Rankin who says, hey, Mark, let's talk about this. I think we didn't have all the information in front of us when we made this decision. So we had a talk, a couple of our folks made presentations to their executive committee and political committee, and Kara decided to go neutral on the bill. So it appears to me that much of the initial concern, and it was real concern, that the utilities proposal would get adopted, seems to be a little bit less. And I did put in the packet this editorial in the LA Times that came out today. I knew I was coming, and someone sent this to me, and I said, well, why don't I bring it just so that you know that it is something that when people look at both sides, can see some value in it. So let me stop there. Thank you for listening to me for several minutes, but open it up because you didn't come here to hear me speak. You came to have a conversation. Yes, I see your hand up.
My name's Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Coming.
Absolutely.
Very interesting, disturbing. First of all, CPUC members are elected by the governors, right? And if they have, what is it, 6 years of tenure?
You are well informed, Mary. Keep going. Yes.
So that most of these people have been appointed by our current governor.
All 5, yes.
So are there any regulations of, can the governor be influenced to choose other types of CPUC members? Does the governor hear our concerns?
You ask a very good question. So in other words, what are the ways that the governor might be dissuaded from appointing staff people in the governor's office to the CPUC? Okay. So that he, is able to exercise some considerable influence, quite frankly. That is how it works. The one check and balance that there is that within 12 months of appointment, the commissioners must be confirmed by the state Senate. If they are not confirmed by the state Senate, their appointment expires at the end of 12 months. Okay. I'm aware of that happening twice, actually, I've been at Turn for 16 years, so I am aware of that happening twice. And that often sends a message. It hasn't happened with this governor, it's happened with previous ones. But that sends a pretty strong message, by the way, to a governor that, but really it is the responsibility of Senate leadership to express to the governor what the parameters they would like, what kind of person they would like, what type of, geographic. Right now, all 5 are from and reside in Northern California. I know we're in Northern California now, but the majority of legislators in the California state, government, because it's population-based, are in Southern California, right? 2/3 of the state's population in Southern California. So I was just speaking to a group of senators and assembly members on Friday. And I said, I'm just, for those of you who live in Southern California, if you'd like a little representation, you might consider, letting leadership know that that's what you want to see. And so I really think that the Senate leadership is the body that has the capacity, has the authority to say, you know what, we need some more advocates on there. Now, the most recent appointed person, Matt Baker, the good news is that he was the executive director of the Public Advocate's Office. So he is an experienced advocate. The downside is because his office dealt with almost every type of case that the CPUC handles, he will not be able to vote for the first 12 months of his tenure. He will be conflicted out. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in his appointment. I know him well, I respect him well, he is a fierce advocate, but if he cannot vote for 12 months, his influence will be delayed.
Number two was, had to do with, as you're saying, influence. So if the Senate has to okay this, I'm assuming that they look at the appointments and scrutinize them very carefully for outside influence, shareholding for specific companies. Is that being done?
It is being done to some extent. Most of the time, it feels to me like a rubber stamp, to be honest with you. You're asking me for my direct, candid opinion. I do believe there's a lot of room for much more scrutiny and much more negotiating about the types of candidates that are seriously considered.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we see a hand raised here?
Yeah, you're gonna have to help me because
Oh, I'm sorry.
you know.
Let's see. Thought I saw a hand raised.
Ben Reading.
Oh, Van. Your question, sir.
Yeah, considering that all the utilities have monopolistic privilege granted to them by the state, why can't we limit their ability to contribute to individual legislators, and limit their ability to spend money, ratepayer money, on lobbying?
Okay, this is a very good question. Let me take the first part of your question and then go to the second part. The first part of your question, which has to do with limits on lobbying, and we're talking about shareholder funded lobbying and contributions to the legislative process. It is unfortunately, it is a free speech issue. The US Supreme Court has ruled in one of the big cases, it may be called Citizens something, some of you know this stuff, that somehow corporations are considered persons when it comes to free speech. I know I was called Citizens United. They have that is the most recent word on this thing. I'm sorry, Ben, I have to say that, but I think there's very little that can be done directly. Now let's look at it from another way. Now, any elected official can decide who they choose to take contributions from and who they choose not to take contributions from. So there could be a grassroots campaign that says, you know what? These outrageous utility bills, it's going to become an election issue for us. We're going to start voting on this just like we're concerned about homelessness, just like we're concerned about crime. We're as concerned about utility bills. And you know what? We're not going to vote for any candidate that takes money from PG&E or from whoever, okay? Now, that's a different way of looking at it. While I don't think that there are any laws or rules that can externally restrict the contributions, I do believe that it is possible for elected officials, for candidates to say, you know what, this is so important to me, this is so important to my constituents, that I pledge not to accept money from PG&E or from, you fill in the blank. So that's the answer to your first question. On your second question, Turn has a bill, is sponsoring a bill, which is SB 983 by Senator Dave Min, which is about utility accountability for lobbying and public relations. And it's scheduled to be heard tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Actually, I'm driving to Sacramento after the meeting today, so I can be fresh and early there. But it prohibits utilities from ratepayers for a lot of the lobbying that they do at regulatory agencies like CPUC and Air Resources Board and Energy Commission on issues where they're not required to submit a response. So that would be a move in the right direction. And more importantly, this bill would ban the utilities. Let me ask you something. How many of you have ever watched a Warriors basketball game on television? Anybody here? How many of you have seen PG&E commercials on those? Okay. That burns me up every time I see it because I know this is tens of millions of dollars of ratepayer money they're using for these commercials. Now, how do they get away with this, you're going to ask? Because aren't public relations supposed to be paid by shareholders? That is an exemption, and it's called safety. And so if Patricia K. Poppy wears a hard hat, you never see her without a hard hat in those commercials, and says, wildfire safety, we're undergrounding for you. It gets categorized as safety, and voila, ratepayer money. We're going to put a stop to this with this bill. Sure love your support of it. And it's going to do one other thing. You know that when a political ad runs on television, or you see it in the newspaper, or you get a card in the mail, it says, there's a disclosure line, paid for by either the candidate, an independent expenditure committee, what have you. But it says paid by. This bill would make it so every television commercial and PR thing that PG&E does will have to say paid for by ratepayers or paid for by shareholders. I guarantee you that if shareholders have to pay for this stuff, it will come to a stop. Shareholders hold the companies more, they have more power to restrict spending than ratepayers do, sorry to say. Alice.
Shareholders and shareholder pain. I looked at your website this afternoon.
Okay,
And then Rebecca Bauer-Kagan is a ratepayer protection champion
yes,
for protecting ratepayers from paying for wildfire or other settlement agreements. AB 2083, which prohibits regulated utilities from recovering their ratepayers any costs related to direct payments, fines, or penalties paid as a result of a settlement resolving criminal or civil cases. I'm adding, such as Paradise Fire.
exactly,
Like that
exactly.
conversation with you on the phone, and you said that you noticed that PG&E had paid dividends for quite a while, and those dividends were allegedly paid as fines. But that really actually takes it from ratepayers, because that money was in ratepayers' pockets before it got to PG&E. It wasn't in the pocket of the owners of the stocks in the company. And it's possible that it could be the opposite of a stock buyback, a stock sell-off. So if they've got 10 billion shares out there, and they print another 10 million shares, they just added 1% to the, or decreased 1% of the value of the existing stock. And that should be the way it does happen. I don't know why that doesn't happen that way, why a judge doesn't say this withholding of dividends is not gonna cut it. You have to pay by diluting your stock. That would really hurt the the stockholders, because they would see the price of their stock plummet on the day that they did that. But there's another question, and what Jerry McNerney said earlier begs the question. Texas, it's 7 cents a kilowatt hour. In California, it's about 45 cents during the day and about 65 cents at night. Why does Texas have a system that's 7 cents a kilowatt hour? We charge 9, 10 times that. How can we adopt their PUC?
Well, sometimes they say, be careful what you wish for. And you ask a very good question. And, you know, I don't know the exact cost in Texas. I do know for a fact, exactly like Jerry said, it is significantly lower than what we're paying here in California. So there's several different reasons why California is so high. I'll just say Texas has a lot of reliability problems, and you may have heard a couple summers ago they had a major they had a grid failure that came within 30 seconds of catastrophic failure. And you know, the thing about electricity is that the generating of electricity and the consumption of electricity needs to be balanced simultaneously at all times. That's why we have a grid operator. In California, it's called the California Independent System Operator. But every electric system has to have somebody like air traffic controllers, if you will, that are controlling and matching the amount that's being generated and amount that's consumed. And it got so far out of whack in Texas that if they hadn't restored it for another 30 seconds, they would have been without electricity for 3 or 4 months. The state, that is how bad it would have been. You know, this is what happened in Puerto Rico. during the huge hurricanes. It's part of what happened. So part of it is that Texas has a much more precarious, because it is much more lightly regulated, a much more precarious. I was in Austin last summer for a conference in June, Energy Policy Conference, and in downtown Austin, every hotel, every restaurant, every major business had their doors wide open, air conditioning the sidewalk. It was 104. Inside the conference room, the thermostat was set to 62 degrees. Okay, you had to wear a sweater. It was too cold. So back to California. Why are our rates so high? One, because wildfire mitigation is huge, okay? And that there are no limits to what they can spend. If they say you can spend 4.7 billion and you spend 14 billion and then you get to collect it, okay, that will drive your prices up. That's one. Two, we have too many climate policies that are on the bills that don't belong on the bills. I'm gonna give you an example. Electric vehicle charging stations. Kern is a big supporter of transportation electrification, but we think that the transportation sector should come up with the revenue to do that. The electric customers have already paid billions of dollars to decarbonize the electric sector. Okay, we've done our fair share. But when Amazon and FedEx and UPS want to electrify their medium and heavy duty trucks and semis, I just don't see why ratepayers should pay for that. Let those companies pay for that for themselves. Why put it on our bill? So there's a lot of stuff on our bill that shouldn't be on our bill, in our opinion, that we've been fighting. We're doing a little better with some of these solar subsidies, the rooftop subsidies, because it traditionally, the amount of subsidies has been set to the retail rate, which is how much electricity costs. So the higher that electricity goes, the more that solar rooftop owners would benefit, and other customers have to pay for it. So that's another factor. So there's several different factors, and we just have a CPUC who is unwilling to draw the line and tell the utilities, you know what, enough is enough, and it needs to stop. Yes, you had your hand up?
Just wondering about having public utility instead of shareholder utility would make a huge difference. Thank you.
More and more people are saying this. Let me give you an example of how bad it is. In SMUD territory, okay, in the Sacramento region, if you're a SMUD customer and you pay $100 a month for a certain amount of electricity, that same amount of electricity for a PG&E customer is now $250 a month. Okay, we're not talking about a small incremental difference. We're talking about an exponential difference in the cost. Okay? Now let me tell you something that's interesting. If you go on the SMUD website and you look for their 2030 100% clean energy plan, which they put out several years ago, they are going to be ahead of PG&E in reaching 100% clean energy generation. And right in their literature, it says our goal is to reach 100% clean energy while keeping utility bill increases within the rate of inflation. Okay? Now, I wave that around a lot because it's impressive and it's a commitment. And why is that? And the reason is because the way that SMUD works, by the way, there are there are at least 4 models of public power in California. Some work better than others in terms of being accountable, okay? One of the worst, most poorly run public utilities is also in California, which is the LA DWP, Department of Water and Power, okay? They are not a good example of a public, so not all public utilities are created the same, okay? So I don't want to do, but let's take SMUD for a minute, because they're closer to us and we know them better, okay? They are one of the best run utilities of any kind in the US. I will note that their directors are elected directly. They're not a city department like in LA or Glendale or Roseville or a lot of places. And if they are not accountable, they do, you know, they have to answer for it. So there is a mechanism in AB 1054 out of 2019, where they set up the Golden State Power, Golden State Power. So there is a mechanism through which PG&E, particularly if it continues to set wildfires and violate safety, can be converted to a public agency. More and more people are talking about it now. I can understand that. Turn hasn't yet taken a position on that, but we hear and have been hearing more and more your same question. Thank you so much for asking it.
A follow-up. Here in this community, we have energy, what we can buy.
Yes.
City,
Yes, yes,
a public.
yes.
So how does that affect, I mean, impacting PG and causing them to feel like they need to raise the rates for everyone else? Or is it neutral or?
Let's talk about that. AVA is what they call a community choice aggregation, okay? And AVA covers the East Bay, okay? So the when it comes to electricity, there are 2 main components to it. One is the generation. That's the generation of the power of the electricity. And the second is the transportation of it, okay? So what AVA does is it contracts for the energy source. But AVA does not own poles or wires or transformer systems or billing. That's under the control of PG&E. So the majority of costs, a little bit more than 50%, is PG&E driven. I will say that AVA has done a good job, not only in keeping the generation affordable, AVA and many of the other, like MCE, they used to be called Marine Clean Energy, but they don't like it if you call them that anymore. MCE in Contra Costa and Sonoma, you know, well, in different places, I don't remember, but there's a whole number of them. What they have been doing is creating new local renewable 100% clean energy generation. And that has really always been the promise of CCAs. And I didn't know how it would turn out, but I'm happy to report that they're making huge progress in creating and developing new local clean energy. So they're to be commended for that.
I want, this will be the last question.
Okay,
because
sure.
we need to get onto our boat, so.
Of course.
We talked earlier about,
Yes.
Pete Albert and the
Hi, Pete.
SEIU and committee and also a retiree was very active. Kara.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Kara was strongly supporting AB 1999.
Mm-hmm.
The rate increases that were provided in AB 205 from a couple of years ago.
Right.
Now,
During your comments, I thought I heard you say PUC has decided to move and drop proposed rate increases from 205 SMUD rates. Is that correct?
It is part of what is authorized in 205. But instead of adopting the utility proposal, which was an extreme proposal, they went with a more moderate proposal that Turn and NRDC supported that had a modest fixed fee. The thing is that's very important is any increase in a fixed fee is compensated for by a reduction in the cents per kilowatt hour, a reduction in the consumption use fee, so that at the end of the day, the utility receives not a single dime extra. It is not a rate increase. It's a redistribution of who pays what, and it allows for some customers, mainly low-income customers, customers who live in hot climates in the Central Valley, and customers who electrify their homes. I was talking earlier about who get a heat pump, who get an electric vehicle and charge it at home, that they will get a break on their monthly bills.
So the proposal in 205 fixed charges. Now, has that been reduced?
What happened is 205 gave the PUC authority to look at income-based fixed charges. And when they opened up the proceeding, a whole bunch of organizations submitted their proposals. The utilities submitting the most extreme proposal, Turn being somewhere in the middle of all the groups. There are at least 6 groups who submitted proposals. So the PUC chose the one they thought was more moderate than what the utilities proposed. They rejected the utilities. And part of why I provided the 2-page editorial from the LA Times, it very fairly describes in a lot of detail the various elements of what the CPUC is proposing to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It is still the income based.
Yes.
Okay, so PJD still has to have income.
No, absolutely not. Not in this particular time. In the future, perhaps. But for the one that's on the table now, they already know who's a CARE customer, okay? And they already know who's a FARA customer. And they already know who lives in deed-restricted affordable housing. So if you don't fall under any of those, your income doesn't matter at all. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Nice job. Nice job.
I will.
I'm gonna head off to Sacramento. That's okay with
Thank you, sir. What a great presentation, and I will, if you could, if we have this in soft copy, Ellis, if we can get this in soft copy, I will send it out to everybody.
You talked at the LA Times.
Well, these things here, if not,
I'll be in touch with them. I'll get it.
Mark, do we have these in soft copy that you can email us?
I can email them to you.
That would be perfect. Drop them off to Ellis, send them to Ellis, and we'll get them out to our members. Thank you. We had next on the agenda to continue the discussion, but I think we've had plenty of discussion on AB 1999 and 2054. The resolution was sent out in the to all club members. It's in your email today if you need to read through it. I would like to make a motion now to endorse both AB 1999 and AB 2054 from the club. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Ellis seconds. Do we have any objections from anybody in Zoom or on? Yes. We haven't, one objection?
Like 1999 is now irrelevant. Because he said TVDC back off. Says that AB 1999 is at 10%. Has AB 1999 been changed?
1999 was the flat rate. I don't believe that one was changed. 2054 was changed from a 10-year cooling off to a 3-year. But it originally was only 2 years, so I didn't hear that 1999 is totally irrelevant. It may not be as critical. Greg, did I mishear that? Okay, so do we need to hold off? Are we making a are you making a? You're not a member, okay. So we did have at least some feedback from the floor that
Changed from 10 years to 3 years, and the wording in the resolution should reflect that.
okay.
So, I second with that 3-year change.
So what Alice is, so you would like to retract that and make an alternate motion? Is that what you?
Just see one place where it says 10-year cooling off period, change that to 3-year cooling off.
Okay, Greg,
It's two separate things.
cor- correct. 1999 was on the flat rate. So we need to Greg is making a motion to separate those two from the resolution and pass them separately. And Ellis second that. So all those in favor to break those out? Kyoko's laughing at me. I'm not very good at this.
Sure.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh,
Oh, you
Linda, is that
gotta
clear?
put it in that other mode where you have everybody's hands.
Linda, is that a yes?
Yeah, you can buy twice, it can vote twice.
Okay. All those opposed. Now, if you lower your hand, anybody opposed to that motion to break those two bills out? Any opposed? Linda, is that your hand up from before? Are you opposing? Just disappeared.
No.
So that was, you are not opposing? No. No. She's nothing. Okay. Okay, then the ayes have it. We will break those up on 2 separate votes.
So we're gonna vote on them next meeting, as 2 separate solutions, but we just say we want these separated and.
Well, we just passed the motion to separate it. Now we could endorse one or the other, or we could make a motion to hold it off if, for 1 more month, if you want. I wouldn't hold it off. I would get the letters in endorsements. I move, okay, let's take the first one. I move to endorse with the recent changes, AB 1999, 2054, just 2054, you're saying, Kyoko. She's cracking me. Okay.
One at a time, 1999 first.
Well, we're gonna separate them, so we're gonna do each. So, all those in favor of endorsing Bill AB 1999.
Discussion.
Okay, I hear a motion to retract that and have a further discussion. Mr. Nybert, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Just a piece of information. People should be aware that the Solar Industry Association is very much opposed to AB 1999. for the reason that it will adversely impact the solar industry that's already reeling from the change.
You just cut out, Jeff. So the solar industry is against AB
For
1999.
people who want to adopt solar energy and put solar panels on their homes. So for that reason, the Solar Industry Association is opposing it. And people should be aware of that, I think. Thank you.
Jeff, can you repeat your statement? You cut out midway and we didn't hear all of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, the Solar Industry Association is very much opposed to AB 1999 because it will adversely impact their industry, and solar energy industry is already reeling from net metering changes from last year, and this will further disincentivize the adoption of solar energy with solar panels because it makes the economic proposition a lot worse. And so people need to be aware that the Solar Industry Association is opposed to AB 1999. Did that come across?
That came across perfect. Thank you, Jeff. And Valerie.
Okay, you know what, Jeff, I'm not sure. The solar industry spoke at our environmental quality meeting, and they're very much in favor of AB one. I mean, unless something changed.
No, no, no.
We
Their
met in March.
representative was against it.
No, they were in favor of it.
No.
1999?
Yeah, that's the one that we considered, remember?
Yeah, and I'm looking at her paperwork right here. It's the one that Rebecca Bauer-Can is the principal co-author, right?
No, she was co-author on 205. Okay, but she's not listed. It's 2054. She was listed as the author. 199.
She is on this one too. She is included as principal co-author.
Yes.
Okay.
she's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And there's the Solar Alliance endorsed AB 1999. So I'm not sure where Jeff one is coming.
I mean, I'm just going by what I'm looking at my notes from our Environmental Quality Policy Committee at Cal Cities. It's the one that PG&E and Southern California Edison were really opposing strongly that we endorse this. So
No, PG&E and SCE were in favor of AB 1999. Solar industry was against it.
I
Yes, Pete.
don't think that's correct. I think because Senator Weiner and Senator Assemblymember Bauer-Can, I'm looking, Irwin is the one that introduced it. Quirk Silva introduced it. Are we talking about the same one? It's AB 1999, the electricity fixed charge, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
PG&E is pretending to be so altruistic in by supporting this measure.
Sounds like we're not clear on this one. Mr. Albert.
You come up here so they can hear you.
Oh, okay.
The mic is on my computer here, so.
Oh. I'm getting the feeling that the decision on this bill is going to be put off for a month. And it would be really helpful to get an explanation of why the solar industry is opposed to 1999. I don't understand why this rolling back on the rate increases would cause an economic disadvantage to the solar industry. And maybe it's there, it's just that I'm not hearing it yet.
Okay.
Yes.
Ellis, yes.
With a little explanation of what happens in the solar industry is in order.
Until last April, if you went out and you got solar panels on your residence, you would be paying somebody like Sunrun, one of those providers, about 5 cents a kilowatt hour for the energy generated on your roof. At night, you would be paying PG&E about 31 cents, but that's now gone up to 64. Something like that, around 64 a kilowatt hour. Before April 1st of last year, a year ago, PG&E would pay you 21 cents a kilowatt hour for any excessive energy that you generated on your roof that you didn't use, your spillover, if you will. So that was a pretty good deal. After April 1st, they reduced that to 5 cents a kilowatt hour. This had the same effect of raising the rates, but in addition to that, it killed the solar industry. I had somebody come out to my house from Sunrun to inspect my solar panels, and he told me that 80% of his crews that install the Sunrun systems, and they're a pretty big company, probably the biggest one, 80% of them have found work other places. So it's been devastated. However, I don't see any correlation or relationship between 1999 and the situation with the solar companies that have been perpetrated on them, because PG&E didn't want those solar panels on my house or any of your houses, because we were basically working in competition with them, and they didn't like that. So they pulled a plug on anybody who was trying to put in new solar panels.
Okay. I'm not sure if that got us the answer that we're
Um,
wanting to get to, though, is I'm still a little confused, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to make a motion at this point to pass 1999 without understanding for sure who is against and who is for as far as the solar industry. And Jeff Nyberg, do you have another comment, sir?
Yeah, I went back and checked my notes. Valerie's right. The Solar Industry Association is for AB 1999 because it will prevent the imposition of the
Thanks for looking, Jeff.
Thanks,
new
Jeff.
regime.
Okay, so. Okay, well, that's a relief. That's a relief.
Sorry.
So Jeff, do you want to make a motion to endorse that?
I'll let someone else do that because I don't want to be on the hook for misinformation.
I will go ahead. This is Valerie. I'll go ahead and make a motion to support AB 1999.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
We have a second. And I think there was some discussion, further discussion here requested. Greg, any other comment before?
Solar. These, there's $2.8 billion from those of us that don't have solar, being subsidized.
Did you guys pick up on that in Zoom?
No.
Hard that Rebecca was trying to put in place is not something needed to offset the cost. It seemed to about that. It's some difference in cost between what we wanted. $10 cost should be there. $24.
So IBEW does not support this bill, and the mic's gonna pick up over it.
Yes, we do not support this bill. We're actually out there the same day the solar industry was out there opposing this bill.
So there you go. They don't believe that that's the reason folks got laid off.
Yeah. So. Again, there was a motion and a second. We have some additional feedback. I'm going to, all those in, we're going to call a vote, all those in favor. And you can definitely vote no on this, so all those in favor, say aye, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5. And all here in the room, all those in favor of supporting AB 1999. 1. Okay, all those opposed? In the room, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those opposed online? If you're voted positive, please lower your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand.
Aren't there a bunch of people you can't see? Yeah.
Their hands, when they raise their hand, they go to the left,
Oh.
usually. But we will double check. Okay, I think we did not pass that bill. I think there were more bills.
It was tied 7-7.
And I did not vote, so I'm gonna vote no, because I'm confused at this point.
Good.
I know. I could abstain.
It's not.
I could abstain, but I'm gonna vote no. And that does not pass. And now the next one, 2054 was the 3-year cooling off period, both now before and after for CPUC members or what's the other commission? The
California Energy Commission.
California Energy Commission. Do I have a motion to endorse that? Alice makes a motion to endorse. Do I have a second?
So,
Ron seconds. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand. Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 7. 1, 2, 9. How much?
2 people raising company.
Okay, can you count on mine? 8, 9. 9 here. 18. All okay, lower your hands. Actual hands. All those against? Maybe 2054, raise your hand or say nay. And the ayes have it. So that one was endorsed. 1999 was not. Ellis will work on the resolution to modify it to just say the 1. And we will send a letter of support through the Ledge portal. I will send that tomorrow.
and that's with the change to 3 years rather than 10.
And that is with the 3 years, correct, instead of the 10. So I will send it on behalf of our club to support through the legislative portal. Thank you. It only took 2 months to pass those or not. Pass one of them.
1990, can I just ask 1990? Okay, so we're not. Gosh,
We did
we're
not,
passing, and we're not, okay, that's.
we did
all.
not endorse that. It was close. It was almost tied and I was the
Hey.
tiebreaker.
You know what? I would just ask that, because I'm gonna get off right now, that when we're doing these resolutions on legislation, for people to please be informed, because to me, this was a big one that I fought hard at the state level at Cal Cities, and we couldn't pass it there either, and I was so surprised. I mean, for an environmental bill like this, and I'm telling you, PG&E and Southern California Edison had all of their guys out trying to counter it, and it ended up working, and we couldn't pass it. So I would just ask that we really look at this if we're going to take positions on legislation, because I think we missed the boat on this one. So anyhow, that's just my thoughts. Okay, thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you for all you do. And we definitely want to do the right thing. I just don't want to vote for something that I'm not totally clear on the impact. And when I hear our IBW local does not support it, that puts my hair in the back of my neck a little bit. But thank you, Valerie. Our next guest speaker You know her, you love her. She keeps us all busy. Up to tell us, here to tell us some fun things to do and how to get involved and check off my software update. Is from Swing Left, Kyoko Takayama. And you need me to share something?
Yes, later.
Okay. And let me just pin you.
No, you don't need to.
She didn't vote.
Fell out. Okay, okay. I'll just, I can't move this because I'll disconnect my Zoom. So you want me to share something?
No, first I will just do this.
Nice to have clones with.
Okay, you ready? Yeah. Okay, so I can fill it in for a second.
Actually, can you give me the share screen privilege?
Yes, I can. Oh, there you are, Kyoko. Okay, I'm gonna, you want me to make that spotlight there or just co-host?
Just remove the spotlight. So people can actually see. Hi, so tonight I'm talking about the postcard effort. So many of you already know about this, but I just want to have some background information. So I'm gonna share this slide. Yeah. So you can see it. So Center for Common Ground is the nonprofit C3 who does the reclaim about postcarding campaign. So it's one of their campaign and they have a lot of different things. But we just focus on the postcard campaign and actually voter contacts today. So their mission is to educate and empower underrepresented voters in voter suppression states to engage in elections and advocate for their right to vote. And in this case, main focus is the black voter is in the South. So as you know, they are heavily suppressed to vote and disengaged. Whenever they actually come out and vote, actually Democrats win. So that's kind of not saying to really support Democrats because they are non-profits, 501c3, they cannot be partisan, but focusing on black voters will actually help the democracy. That's the idea of it. And she will never say that because she's a founder, but I'm just a volunteer, so I can say this kind of stuff, right? So in 2020, there were 44,000 volunteers and they made 14 million voter contacts. So 9.4 million postcards were sent, 2.9 million text messages, and 1.7 million phone calls. These are really huge numbers. And postcards originally sent to the rural black voters. Why? Because address is the only thing we have. They may not have cell phones. Landline often actually disconnected because of the payment is delayed and stuff like that. So that's really hard to reach borders. That's this population. And this year, we are targeting 75,000 volunteers and 18 million voters contacts. That's the goal. And we just finished the fundraising for 115,000 to purchase good addresses. So that will create 12.5 million postcards addresses in 7 different states. So the first postcarding campaign we did was a Georgia primary. And Reclaim Our Vote campaign rarely does the primaries. But this is a very important election year. And we need to actually make the habit of voting. And of course, as everybody know, more contacts we make, more likely those voters vote. So the first one was made. And this is for the primary, they were focusing on CD6 and CD13. If you know about the redistricting, Georgia was ordered to create actually the black voters were not gerrymandered. So Democrats were hoping to actually have extra black district. However, they kind of went around and instead of creating the new black district, they matched with the other minorities. So we did not really get a new extra district. They just kind of shifted it around. So that is a six congressional district 6 and 7. They switched. So that's the one of the target. And this is the effect of these are the black voters turnout. So 2018, declaimable vote did not work in Georgia, Fulton County. So that was the 41% of the black voters turnout. And 2020, it went up. It's a, of course, presidential election, there are more voters, but that was significant change for 10% up. So that's not only reclaimable vote campaign did work on these places, so it's not 100% postcarding effort, but that's part of the stuff. And this is the interesting one. So each vote or just now we are seeing the number of the voters by the age. So you can see 35 and over, there are lots of people voting. And 18 to 24, that number is so minimal, right? So this year, not only the postcarding, but they are going to the college on the ground and trying to turn out the voters. And currently we are writing the Virginia. Virginia is not the presidential target states, but there are 865,000 black voters, and it's about 15%. And there are those clusters of districts. And Virginia has one flippable, that's the, I can't remember which one it was. And so there are 5 districts we are working on the primary, 1 flippable, 2 open sheets, and 2 are in-laws. So those are the ones, because there are lots of black voters, to just kind of prep ourselves to make better positions. And their primary is June 18th, and early voting starts May 4th. So this is 45 days early voting. This was the result of winning the state registration races in 2019 and had them trifecta. So their voting rights is actually better than California. So voting is very easy over there. What? This one was supposed to be the first. Georgia. So that was almost 5 million black voters in Georgia. So that's why we are in the Georgia. And then the North Carolina. North Carolina has 1.5 million black voters, and 20% of the entire voters are the black. And Virginia has the election every single year, and they separate presidential and federal election and state elections different years. So that's another voter suppression that should be changed. But this is another way of doing it. So North Carolina actually has every single elections coming in every single time. So that means people may actually vote like first three, but a lot of people will not vote all the way down ballot. So that will give actually Republican advantage. Somehow Republicans vote every single thing all the way down ballot, and them doesn't. Dems don't. So that's something we need to change. But anyhow, that's important thing is North Carolina, we lost the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court judge positions. So in 2022, we had court-driven map, which was fair. So we had 7 and 7. However, in 2022, we lost that judge position and they went to Republican. So it was overturned again, even though gerrymandered. And they just approved the heavily gerrymandered map in North Carolina. So we cannot do in the congressional district. So we already know we are going to lose at least 3 seats and possibly 4. So that the 1 seat we need to protect. And also, the only way to stop anything in North Carolina is not to give the state house and senate, even though gerrymandered, we cannot give them veto-proof powers, and we cannot lose governorship. Right now, we have the Democrats governor, but he is terming out. So this state became really, really important to help them to protect their democracy, even the slim of them left. That's why we are in North Carolina writing postcards. And this year, the primary is already completed in March. However, we are doing the pledge to vote campaign starting mid-May. So I would love you to all help on that one. So this is the turnout of the North Carolina, Mecklenburg counties, black voters turnout. So 2020 was the year we spent a lot of effort. So most, actually the founder said every single voters in the Mecklenburg actually received a postcard twice. The one was a pledge to vote, one was GOTV. And look at the number, 67%. That's amazing number because in the black voters district, about 40% of the black voters turning up is decent. And 67% is just beyond. So if we can maintain this, we can win a lot more elections. And that's the twice postcarding plus calling, texting, that can make this happen. And 2022, we did work in that, so that number just dropped. So just having one-time high number cannot maintain it. We still have to keep helping them. That's a tough part unless we create the ground level stuff. So people need to start helping themselves. So that's kind of what's going on right now, the campaign. And today I brought the postcards, and that's gonna be it for my presentation part. And can you show the video I sent you?
You emailed it to me?
Yep.
Not that one.
Oh.
That one, the previous one.
Okay.
Just send it.
This it?
No, 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 no. Stop, share. And go to the mail.
Sorry about it. The Google Drive or the YouTube?
YouTube. And you can put it.
What's so special about Hero Bread's soft, fluffy, and delicious breads, buns, and tortillas?
Fluffy.
Hero Bread serves up 0 to 1 grams of net carbs.
Okay,
1 grams
hold
of
on.
protein.
I'm having a hard time finding my Zoom session.
It's from home with reclaim.
I know, but let me put it up for the Zoom folks. I gotta share it. Hold on. Where'd my Zoom session go?
The five. Nope.
Where the heck is it? There's,
No.
oh, that's the side.
slide. I think you might have closed it.
How to write postcards from home with Reclaim Our Vote.
Yeah, but
Greetings, and thanks for
but they don't have the sound, do they?
postcards with us.
Okay, maybe that's.
Reclaim Our Vote is a nonpartisan voter outreach campaign. Our mission is to empower underrepresented voters and fight voter suppression one voter at a time. We organize phone banking, postcarding, texting, canvassing, and more with partner organizations from our umbrella nonprofit Center for Common Ground, a people of color-led voting rights organization based in Virginia. Our partners include civil rights, voting rights, and social justice organizations, diverse faith organizations, civic technology groups, and charitable employee initiatives. In this video, we will teach you how we postcard and why writing with us may be a little different than writing you've done for other campaigns. Our volunteers handwrite postcards to mostly rural, often older voters of color in voter suppression states. For many registered but infrequent voters, our Get Out the Vote cards encourage early voting, provide important information to navigate the voting process, and emphasize the power of their vote to address urgent issues in their communities. We occasionally write pledge to vote and social or community organizing scripts. Social organizing phrases such as tell 5 friends are used in many of our scripts to harness the collective aspect of voting in communities of color, as reflected in the Souls to the Polls Sunday voting tradition after church, which some states have tried to ban. We sometimes write carefully timed postcards to voters who may have been deregistered due to infrequent voting, but are likely to be unaware of this. We alert them and offer ways to re-register and vote. We have shifted our emphasis to engaging millions of registered but infrequent voters to become active and prevent future purging. Between elections, we also partner with local nonpartisan campaigns for democracy, voting rights, citizen engagement, energy equity, and other issues of justice affecting communities of color. Our campaign differs in key ways from partisan political campaigns. We reach out to a population with cultural, economic, and historical considerations that may be less familiar to some of us. Some of our rural voters have no internet, so we offer phone numbers or addresses, and we phone bank to them as well. Many have endured ongoing voter suppression, so we use empowering messages and imagery on our postcards. We avoid imagery associated with voter intimidation or violence, including American flags and dogs, even on postage stamps. The lack of attention paid to many of these voters determines our practice of handwriting with care and a bit of color, rather than sending pre-printed cards and mass mailings. We are taking the time to reach out. That is where you come in. With a little help from our team, you'll be on your way. Here's what you'll need. Whether at a safe gathering, a family kitchen table, or a party of one, each writer will need the following. These first elements will be provided by us after you apply. Our guidelines for postcard writers, a voter address list, a script, a sample postcard image to help writers, and templates with county or state contacts for useful info, free rides to the polls when offered, and more, formatted to print onto Avery labels. Follow the instructions to find your regional organizer and get connected through the link to our postcard page at the end of this video. These will be provided by you. Postcard stamps, support your local post office, or buy online through our link. Reclaim Our Vote postcards, required for our campaigns and convenient to order. Avery label stickers to print out the registration info mentioned above. These cut the script shorter and assure accuracy, but allow enough handwriting for the card to feel personal. In some regions, volunteer organizers may assemble these materials into packets for writers. Colored pens and pencils or gel pens, and a little bit of whiteout. Our inspiring Reclaim Our Vote postcards are part of our strategy, designed specifically for our voters by Leonina Arizmendi-Zarkovic and Justin Andrew Young. They are nonpartisan, racially inclusive, deeply discounted, and bear our campaign name. Please do not use any other cards for our campaigns. Next, the writing part. Read the guidelines first and have fellow writers read them first before taking up the pen. Most questions are answered there. Write neatly and legibly, either print or cursive. Have a friend, partner, or one of us check over your first card for legibility and accuracy. When addressing each card, cross out each address line on the spreadsheet as you go. This helps avoid the easy error of jumping from one line to another when copying the data. Trust us on this. Please allow 1 inch below the address at the bottom right of the card for the post office to affix their half-inch barcode label. Please carefully follow indications for Deep South etiquette and other directions as detailed in your script. If you do use labels, stick your printed Avery label to the blank side of the card wherever it works best for the script and handwrite around it. Stick to the script word for word. Resist all temptation to edit or embellish. Scripts are written in collaboration with our respected community of color partners in that state for that particular group of voters and must be left as is. Use colored pencils or pens to write, highlight, or decorate. This makes the card a bit more eye-catching and personal. No decorative stickers, as they can get stuck and jam the postal scanners. As we're delivering a sobering message, please keep decorations simple, and please remember to avoid flags, dogs, or partisan imagery. Privacy considerations for all. Please respect the privacy of our voters and never share images that contain their personal information. If taking snapshots for social media, always cover last names and addresses. If taking a party shot, please make sure it's not possible to zoom in and read private information. Please shred voter lists after completing, or else return them to your host so they may shred them. Please do not share this video or phone banking information on public-facing social media or websites. It is meant to be shared with committed volunteers who are signing up with the Reclaim Our Vote campaign. Thank you for protecting our campaign. If you would like to host or organize, contact us and sign up. Hosts and organizers play a vital role in representing and spreading the Reclaim Our Vote campaign, so they need to register and train a little more with us. In times of social distancing and quarantine, gatherings can still happen by Zoom, or you can be a hub for local postcard distribution. The link at the end of this video will get you to the volunteer sign-up. To wrap this up, our campaign sent over 9 million cards in 2020. By joining in this work, you are helping to change lives and improve the state of our democracy, human to human, one voter at a time. Please follow the handy links at the end of this video for all the information and resources you need to get set up. Thanks and cheers from the postcard team of Reclaim Our Vote.
Okay, thank you, Kyoko.
Yeah, it's a lots of information. But I'm actually the Reclaim Our Vote campaigns Alameda County Regional Organizer. And there are 3 groups actually working on this postcarding. I came here today to ask tribal dams to consider start distributing postcarding. Once a month here, you can pick up, I can bring the kit here. So those who wants to actually write the cards can start writing. So these are the postcards. So we collect the donation, the swing left library and purchase these postcards. And you guys gave us some money to buy stamps for those who needs help on that. And the labels are printed like that. So as you could see, you just put it in the center. And like this, you can see a lots of colors. So you need to be able to make something eye-catching. That's kind of fun. And if you do it together, it's even more fun. But that's something we can actually consider if you like to. And postcard parting has been very, very successful. Livermore Unitarian Church just started. How many people was it? Over 20? Yes. Yesterday's party? The postcard party yesterday, is that what you're asking? No, that was a church, Unitarian Church with the plans. Postcard. Yeah, and they finished 500. And the Asbury Church also started to the smaller ones, and they completed 500. So when you do the party and chat and have snacks and so forth, that's a lot of fun. So I would love you to start doing something like that, but that's up to you guys. Thank you so much. Yes.
Do you have any suggested comments? Any,
Yes, we have scripts.
you have scripts?
Mhm.
Okay. That
Yeah.
makes it easier.
Yeah, so like this one says, Dear Miss Jones, add your voice to the May 21st primary. Choose champions for education, healthcare, good jobs, affordable housing, Medicare plus Social Security. Vote early, avoid long lines. And the middle part, the label gives the information to whom to contact. So it's a voter registrar normally. And finally it says bring photo ID plus 5 friends, because these are for primaries and they do have the strict primary laws. This is the Georgia Fulton County.
And it's considered a stronger message if it's handwritten and it looks like it's coming from another person rather than just
Yes.
something that's printed.
Yeah, especially if you think about the rural area, people are just living by themselves. This may be the connection to the political world.
And
Yes.
Is the name and address hand printed or do you have address labels?
No, everything is handwritten.
Excuse me?
Address,
Oh, okay, so you have a list,
yeah,
so you.
you will handwrite the address and names. Yes. So it looks like somebody maybe writing, it's a personal, yes.
Okay, good.
For any of you that would like to take some today, we have them here available. You can take them home and start mailing them out, and we can provide Kyoko's email information if there's any questions or concerns with the task. And then I will take some of these home with me. We will have another live meeting here at IBW next month, the third Monday. And then after that, we're gonna be on hiatus out of the hall here because they're gonna be redoing the hall. So I've been informed that after next month, we are gonna be virtual for 9 months after next month. So through the election time, we are gonna be virtual, but I will try to set up some pop-up stores for the UDC as well as I will make my house a home for distribution of any of this information. So if you need the information, I can meet you someplace in Pleasanton or Dublin or something.
So
Any other,
wherever, and I'll get it to you. So if that is the case, maybe you guys can just join the String Left effort. we have the hubs, Livermore, Pleasanton, Dublin, and San Lemon. So if we will discuss how to distribute postcards since there is no in-person meeting.
Well, next
In
month,
here.
you do one more,
Yeah,
and then thereafter.
you know, you may consider to meet somewhere else because it's just fun to meet your friends, right?
And the weather's getting nice. Maybe we could meet in my house in the backyard.
Thank you, Kyoko. Thank you so much. We're gonna speed up things at the last, business. We have a vacancy open right now for our club rep. Hayden Sadoon, who has been our club rep, has taken a position with the DCCC. Congratulations to Hayden. We will miss him. But I do need somebody to represent us at the central committee. The central committee, a lot of decisions are made, a lot of endorsements are made, a lot of information. So if you were interested in being our club rep representing the central committee, send an email to email tvdimsmedia@gmail.com. That again, it's tvdimsmedia@gmail.com. You can find our email on our website as well. Send me a note if you are interested in being our club rep. You do need to live in Alameda County because this is the Alameda County Central Committee. Unfortunately, we are not chartered through Contra Costa County, so we only have representation in Alameda County. ACDM's candidate training, the date is currently scheduled for June 8th. The Alameda County Central Committee does fabulous training for new candidates. It is an all-day event, probably from around 9 to 5. The exact times are yet to be yet distributed, so we're waiting to hear about the exact time. There will be light breakfast and lunch provided. The cost of this, does cost money to hold this event, and to participate is $50. And they are also recommending if you are planning to run and you've already ran before, it's always a good idea to have a refresher. Lots of things have changed, the way the county does things, the way the state party does things. So it would be a good idea if you're going to run for office to sign up for that. I will send the information out as soon as possible, and that will be held at the Laborers Local 304 in Mission Boulevard in Hayward. DNC update. We currently have the at-large filing will close on April 24th. The district level to either vote in the district level election or to run in the district level election is now closed. If you want to be a delegate at the convention, you can file at-large form Delegate B, and the campaign will be picking those spots. And then the last opportunity is if you are an elected official, there is a filing for that as well. So let's see, for the district level election, we have a couple club members here that are running. Jeff Nybert will be running for Congressional District 14. In this congressional district, we will have 3 female delegates, or those who define themselves as female, and male 3. Well, that goes for, trans folks that are female. So female delegates 3 and male delegates 3. There's 1 alternate female and 0 alternate male for Congressional District 14. I will send you out a list of everybody that is running, but as far as our members that are running, Jeff Nybert and Jan Park will also be running. In Congressional District 10, there will be 3 delegates that identify as female and 3 delegates that identify as male. In Congressional District 10, there is 0 female alternates and 1 male alternate. So it's flipped in those 2 congressional districts. And club members that are running there, Richard Adler, excuse me, and Matthew Anini are club members that are running, and I will send you a list of all of those different candidates that are running. Let's see, anybody else here that I recognize that is a club member? I do not. And next on the agenda will be the approval of the March minutes, and here to read through that is Ellis Colbert.
Thank you, Jackie.
Okay. The minutes of the last meeting are on our YouTube channel. So, if you want to get the details, go in there. Jackie opened the meeting by talking about the situation in the Ukraine and also about the importance of the 2024 election and how democracy is on the line in both cases. Then Igor Tregreb, chair of the Alameda County Democratic Party, spoke about how to become a delegate to the National Convention, which is pretty much what Jackie was just talking about. And he spoke about saving democracy by taking some of the contentious seats in California. He answered some questions about the election, and he spoke about various committees in the Central Committee that need people to work there. Then I spoke about AB 2054 and 199, which we considered again this month and just recently concluded. And I committed to inviting somebody from Turn, which we did. Jackie reported the election results, and I suggest if you really want to look at it, go look at the YouTube channel, because she put a bunch of charts on the screen and the text doesn't match it. But the important parts were Jerry McNerney won, and he will be running against Jim Shoemaker, a Republican. Marisol Rubio will be running against Tim Grayson. Both of them are Democrats. Mart Ficus, at that point in the meeting, was ahead with 55% in his judicial race, and Nathan Miley prevailed over Jennifer Easton. And again, the details are on the YouTube video. Brody Hill, who was on earlier, I guess maybe she's still on, discussed with Jackie the possibility of the 2 clubs, the San Ramon Valley Dems and the Tri-Valley Dems, having Adam Schiff in. Stay tuned for that. Then Kyoko reported, suggested that we invite contentious congressional district candidates to address the club, and they could enlist club members both to help them in their campaigns and to donate. She spoke about campaign activities in various organizations that we're involved in. Then Treasurer Alan Nakashia reported that we've just picked up $40 in dues, had $1.77 in expenses, and have a balance of $26.96 and 40 cents. So almost $2,700. And Alan and I sent out emails to, Alan sent them out, but I helped him compose them. Emails to members who are former members who hadn't re-enrolled this year. And then Jackie invited the members to the Eden Dems St. Patrick's Day dinner, and then we adjourned. Any comments on the minutes? Any changes?
I would like to make one minor modification to the minutes, just the spelling of Mark Fickus' name.
Okay.
Yes, I think.
Oh, it's F-I-C-K? Yeah. Engineers are renowned for our spelling deficit. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
I move to approve the minutes with that one correction, the Mark's name. Second by Mary. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Yeah, I
Thank you all.
Okay, good job, Secretary.
Thank you. Secretariat now for the treasurer report. Alan, our great treasurer.
Well, I don't know about that, but at least I'm the treasurer. This last month, we had income of dues of $50. The credit card fees were $2.06. We spent $159.90 on media, which is our Zoom account for the year, and $141 for our PO box, making our expenses for the month $302.96. We had a beginning balance of $26.94.40, which leaves us now with a loss of $242.96 and an ending balance of $24.41.44. Year to date, we have a total income of $697 net after our expenses. And as of last year, we're within like $100 of where we were last year, year to date. I am going to be getting out the letters for people who haven't rejoined, who were members in 23 and haven't joined for 24. And if you haven't, please look at the website and join up.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. And if you're having a hard time finding where to pay your dues, go to our website. In the middle of the page, it says pay your dues or join the club. Click on that. It takes you to our Square site. We haven't integrated our payment yet into the website, but it takes you off to a separate site that is safe. It's through the Square system. And dues are important. This is the way we're able to do things like donate money to help postcarding or do some fundraising or an event like, we hosted having Adam Shift here with over 100 people. So it's great. It's a very small amount. And if you are unable to pay the amount, we can have the ability to waive that for folks that need it. So if you want to be a member and it's just that extra few bucks, you can't, let us know. Send an email to tvdemsmedia@gmail.com and we'll look at waiving those fees. Is there any other new business or comments from anyone? Yes, Mr. Albert. I'm gonna.
Look around and see if
Is your dad here?
No, he's been going on for 20 years.
Oh.
So there, I'm talking about the board of directors. And there's turnover. This November, there are 4 vacant seats around the Bay Area. And with people leaving. Now, McPartland, we knew that McPartland was not going to run again. And in fact, he had already endorsed Melissa Hernandez, who is the mayor of Dublin. And she's running for that seat. Now, things changed a couple of weeks ago. McPartland decided to resign. He has left the board, and the directors have to make an appointment within 60 days. So, Melissa Hernandez is trying to decide whether to apply for the vacancy. She's the mayor of Dublin, and her term extends to the end of the year, and she has unfinished business and things she wants to accomplish there. She was hoping to stay in that position through the end of the year, but now she has to decide. Maybe the directors will look for a placeholder or not, and so in any case, they will be making an appointment. So I wanted to bring that to your attention in case you wanted to interview the candidates. and make a recommendation to the central
Is
committee.
anybody running against it that you know of?
I have heard that there's a guy who was a former deputy sheriff who has been endorsed by the BART Police Union. Now, there's a BART director from Contra Costa County, San Ramon Valley named Deborah Allen, who's a Republican and very strongly anti-union and anti-BART worker. So our union represents a lot of BART workers. She's not our favorite director. She is trying to recruit people to run for these open seats, and she is supporting this. I haven't learned his name yet, but she is supporting this guy who is also running for a Portland seat. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. You probably want to take a look at that.
Thank you. Do you know when that, is it gonna be
Well-
in November when?
No, they, well, the election is in November for a full 4-year term. But the directors will make an appointment, for somebody to serve the rest of the year. And that appointment will happen, I'm guessing, within 60 days.
Wow. Okay, so we have to do something about that pretty quick. Yes, Sally.
I think that we ought to do something immediately. Still have a forum. We ought to endorse Melissa. We know her very well. There doesn't seem to be any Democrat interested in that. And if she even declines to take it, well, we did the right thing anyway. But if
I'm not
60
opposed
days
to
is
putting
right,
her out
we
there.
haven't got any views on this.
Don't we want to find out if there's anybody else running? I don't want to have the same thing happen where we've done things too early and then they say, you know, now we can't have our chance.
Well, we have a choice, too early or too late.
30 when our meeting stopped at 9. I don't know if this is the right time.
I don't know. Do we still have a quorum?
It may be, if somebody gets recruited to be a placeholder who commits to not running. It may be that the people apply, well, when you have an open seat,
I don't know if you guys can hear all of this. You might want to come back towards
when you,
the speakers here. on the-
when you have an open seat on a city council or a school board or wherever, the
Come
people,
off mic.
all these people come out of the woodwork, who, some of whom have never held elected office. They don't have anything to lose in terms of spending money, so I'm guessing that that if Melissa applies and the other guy does, I'm guessing that other people will apply. They probably won't be viable. So I don't know, it's up to you.
I think I'll reach out to Melissa right away and find out and when we can do this. Next month, we do have a commitment for it's water month and we invited somebody from the water board next month. So we do have that on the agenda, but I'm not opposed to filling, you know, with this urgent issue. Or having a special meeting to have an endorsement vote,
Are you talking about zone 7?
right? We
Uh,
could always have a special meeting if we need to.
Did you, all the incumbents got elected, did you endorse all of them? Whether-
No, I'm sorry. For zone 7, this is just we're not endorsing anybody right now for zone 7. This is just a zone 7 person coming to talk about water month next month. It's water month in May. Yeah. Yeah, is it different than water board month? It's water month next month. But okay, thank you. We will research that and get that on an agenda, whether it's next month or a special meeting. That's important to get our endorsement before the board makes its decision. Any other business announcements? Okay, I guess I would like to just close with reminder that the recall for the 2 Sunol Glen school board members did make it on the ballot. They got enough signatures, and that recall will be scheduled for July 2nd. And if anybody would like to help with that effort, right now, they're asking for donations. And I will put the link in the chat if you want to check out and see what's going on in Sunol Glen with the recall, and if you would like to help with any kind of donation.
The club donate a couple $100 to that
We could, are you making a motion?
and move. We have 7 members here on the floor. How many,
We need 10.
Jeff?
Do we have a quorum for that?
Say, if that is the they still there? They seem to be. I haven't seen them. The names of course are there, and the names are there, but they're not voting, right? I don't know. Same with Richard.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we put that on the next month
Is that early enough?
yeah,
Make a difference.
in May, yeah. Yeah, because the election's in July. So we'll put that on for next month.
Does anybody have any information on the status of the recall? District Attorney,
For the Pamela Price recall, all of the signatures were turned in, and the county is right now validating those to see if they meet the requirement. They have to make sure all those people are true people, and, there were some issues raised that the way they were collecting signatures, they would collect signatures for 3 different issues. And some of the people that signed these petitions claimed thought they were signing for other things because of the way they were gathering the signatures. So that may become an issue down the road. But at this point, the county is validating the signatures.
So my suggestion as a follow-up is that we maybe take a vote and endorse or not endorse her next month.
For the recall, if it gets to the recall, yeah, we could do that. By the way, the central committee voted overwhelmingly against the recall. They are supporting her, not necessarily that they endorse Pamela Price, because they did not endorse Pamela Price, but they are against the recall. So, yeah.
There's a complicating factor in that. The County Board of Supervisors last year decided that their rules about recall elections in the county needed updating and clarification. And so they put a measure on the ballot in the primary to change some language. And that measure passed. And there is uncertainty as to whether the new version will apply to the Pam Price recall. So you don't think it does? Okay. So that's all.
But it doesn't open it up for a potential lawsuit. I've heard that it does open it up for.
Knowing Pamela, I wouldn't be surprised if this is tied up in the courts for a long time. But they do, when you have these petitionings,
Yes.
the registrar or the Secretary of State tests a sample. And if the sample scores high in terms of accuracy, they will validate the whole thing. But that wasn't the case with these petitions. There were enough errors that they are continuing to count all the signatures.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's my understanding. They're gonna validate them all, not do a sample
Wonderful.
as before.
Next,
Yeah, so they're busy there. As a matter of fact, their website went down a couple days ago. I wonder if I've had anyways. Okay, with that, I would like to move to close the meeting tonight, and thank you very much, and we will see you again in person next month for the last time for a while here at the IBEW, and thank you to our union for allowing us to be here. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Jackie.